Crim, do you like cars? Are you into race cars?
The Disney movie? Or
no, every time. The same thing happened with Rare, and every time they want to talk about Cars, the Disney movie, the Pixar movie. No.
Oh.
I still think that movie is overrated. I still don't like that movie as much as other people do.
I agree with you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
I agree with you. I don't like Cars that much.
I will give it a hot medium. You know, it's better than the average movie, but it's not like game changing. No, I'm talking about in today's Magic the Gathering, arguably more controversial. In today's Magic the Gathering, what do you think of the race cars, Crim?
I mean, like, is this controversial anymore? Like, I don't know. Magic is a multiversal thing. Okay, you already know this. If I'm okay with like I don't know, Walking Dead hitting the game, cars do not bother me, right?
The thing with you didn't like Lord of the Rings. That's like so,
Lord of the Rings in my high fantasy game? Get out of here. My immersion.
Yeah. So that's why I still have to check. And
I don't, by the way, we should clarify that I don't like Lord of the Rings because I was forced to study it in film class, okay? That's so it became a chore. It became a chore. And on top of that, I also think that it's kind of just meh. But
we're gonna cut this whole part because I've already titled this episode "Crim Hates Lord of the Rings" because that's how you get clicks in the modern era, and loves race cars. No.
Okay, hold on. Let's hold it there. I've never said I love race cars.
Loves them, adores them, wants them in every set from now on. And
I mean, I do like vehicles. Everybody's got to have a vehicle. In every set, there should be some kind, right? I mean, whether Jace needs a getaway car, you can't have a getaway car.
I like vehicles when they're not powered by like gasoline. You know, I want my fantasy game to have fantasy vehicles, and I'm okay with Kamigawa having like a flying car and a Reckoner Bankbuster, but I don't want every plane to have like a gas-powered vehicle, or it needs to make sense for the plane to me. You know what I mean? It really needs to. So I mean, that's my take on those specific vehicles.
I like okay. Do you? I guess maybe this isn't so wild to me because this is the year we're also getting a space opera, but like this is like a sci-fi, right?
Yeah.
This is a sci-fi racer, and I mean, I see the Akira references. I like that they still wove in like the occult side of things, right? Like you got the last ride, you know, the speed demon, all like, you know, there's a lot of wild and wacky.
Yeah,
and
they
I can
definitely
understand
put a
why
lot of
that's
tropes
bit...
together, like a lot of tropes together.
But like those tropes work when they don't bother me. Just mostly because I don't find any of these things all too jarring. When you're in a multiversal approach, you're like, why wouldn't there be a big gathering between multiple planes through Omen paths that allow them to race each other? You know what I mean? Like this now, whether or not you like, you know, multiverses and things like that, that's a separate thing, right? If you don't like multiverses, then you hate this. Mm-hmm. You're gonna hate this if you hate multiverses and all of that, right? Which I get. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but so far, like, if you're asking me from a flavor point of view, it's fun, it's wacky. I don't take things too seriously. Everything I enjoy in my life are usually not that serious, right? Like they all can laugh at themselves, right? And like I get it when some people are like, my immersion, you know, yada yada yada. But the immersion's out the door anyways, long time ago, as I told you. For me, like in Kamigawa. So like when it comes to just high fantasy, like only, you know what I mean? Like
I feel for the people hanging on to that. Like I do. I'm like, that must be rough. Because every set is hammering that. This one does feel like a tipping point. Like it comes on. It does. I think for a lot of people it does. So what I'm going off, you said, is it controversial anymore? I have seen an above average amount of comments, like more than I am used to on YouTube, about I'm skipping this set. It's not for me. I really have. And I worry, you know, I'm always paying attention to like the overall comment vibe. And I haven't really said that at all. In fact, what I've said about the set is even if you find the like themes kind of polarizing and the flavor doesn't do it for you, I found the gameplay to be very good. Like I said when the cards started being spoiled, that you'll be impressed by the gameplay, and that's probably the most important thing. But I'm still seeing like a lot of that kind of commenting, and it does feel like a tipping point to me because we're at like 5 sets of tropes now is what it feels like. 5 sets that don't feel like a traditional Magic set in a row as far as standard sets. If you take out foundations. So that I think has people a little, you know, they're just a little like, where's my Magic? And Tarkir is coming. This is only going to be the newest set and the newest hotness for like 2 months. And I always love that time because I try to like dive all into a set during that time and enjoy it. Like, yeah, that's how I cope in a way, is like you only have this for a little while where it's the new thing.
So let me ask you this then. So it sounds like you do not like how this plane has come out, like Avishkar and you know, everything.
Right. I'll try to put it. This set from a like theme standpoint, from a like lore and theme standpoint, couldn't be less for me. It's like like if I were going solely on flavor and theme, would I see a movie or watch a show like this? Would I immerse myself in this world voluntarily? No. It's like it's got to be near the bottom
like
for
the
me.
Speed Racer live action movie?
No, I didn't. This is not my jam. So it's like down there, and I said this on stream when the trailer dropped. I was like, the theme thing is like down at a 2 for me. There shouldn't be many people less excited than me theme wise, because is very much not my jam. But the gameplay, Tron doesn't do it for me.
Okay,
I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
The only racing content I like are like, there's a movie called Rush about racing, and it's more about the competition side of racing and the real world kind of dynamics between rivals, which I think transcends racing and gets into sports, and that's why I like it. So yeah. So it's like way down there theme wise for me. But when I played with the cards, I was like, this is awesome. Like I love the cards. I love the way the games play. So like for me, it's okay because the theme is only there until we start getting cards. And I told people, just wait till the cards come out. You're going to be more into it when the cards come out. I love these cards. I do.
It's so funny because I think I get it. Like this theme isn't like everybody's cup of tea, right? Like I personally feel this is so much better than Murders at Karlov Manor. I'm sorry. I think Murders
is down there too. I don't even like the movie Clue.
Murders is so low on there, and then there's other like this is nowhere near the bottom of Magic sets for me. That I when it comes to themes, I do not care about. Right? Like this is very far from the bottom. This is cool to me because it's wild, wacky, gives me the Tron vibes, as I said. I think this probably has to do with the fact that this game I played back as a kid, I loved. It was called Cell Damage. It was on the GameCube, and it was a wacky, wild racer car like brawl. Like think Twisted Metal with cartoony graphics, right? And I think that's why I'm so okay with this game, with this like set, because I love this theme. I think it's a lot of fun for me.
I'm looking at your Cell Damage images.
Right, you see what I'm talking about, though, right? Like
this looks absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, this is nonsense.
And it's so much fun, right? And that's kind of the vibe I get here, and that's why I know this was controversial at the beginning. I love the art for this set. I love how wild. I cannot stress this enough, though. The gold, whatever. First place borders.
We can't do it without talking about those. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to that later, but like for the most part, I just want to say that I cannot stand the first place borders. But that's a lot coming from me because I love white bordered cards. But yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. You and the white border cards. Now we know it's real. Now we know it's a problem for sure. I've said that the yellow, we can hit the yellow borders right now. I don't care.
Sure.
I've said that they're better in person.
They aren't.
I think they are. It's just not by
really?
it's just not by much. Not by enough.
Oh, okay, sure. It's marginally better.
And have you seen the price tags on those? I think it's honest proof that Magic players will buy anything.
It's pre-release though. It's early access. Also, you know what? As someone who loves to troll the internet, I could see people committing to the bit and intentionally spending a lot of money just to have the most hideous and heinous looking borders. Right? Like I could see it. I could see that happening.
Honestly, that does sound like a way to troll your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would hate it.
I mean, it'd be hilarious though, right? If your friends are like, what? Like the whole time, my eye would just twitch and look at all the gold border cards. I'm like, oh, those are hideous. But yeah, hey, glad you're happy, I guess.
Jeez, Pete.
So, like, what I was getting at was, like, one of the things that was shocking for the art of this set is, I don't know what you call it, right? They call it the showcase or whatever, but it's like the crazy, wacky skateboarding kind of, like, art style. Like, it's got the...
Yeah. I'm thinking of the two that stand out to me. The two that stand out to me are the Speed Demon and the Dinosaur. Those are the two I think of. You like those?
I love that art style because that's very much so along the vibes of what I grew up with, right? Like Santa Cruz skate shop, like the whole, for those that know what I'm talking about the hand, you know, with the mouth in it. And like you're seeing all, I don't know what this is called, but like style at least, but dude, I've always seen this art style growing up. That's why I love it.
This is so California meets Midwest happening right now. I'm sending you right now, and I'll have it put on the screen here. I believe this is the ugliest Magic card of all time.
What?
Right there.
That's so sick, though.
I hate it so much. I despise it. The yellow bordered and the cartoony nonsense on the same card. To me, this is a collision of horrible. I'm sorry. I only feel that if when it comes to talking about the gold border, but like the art is heat. District mascot, gas guzzler, all of them. The Speed Demon, Bulwark Ox, dude. How about the Waxen Shape Thief, which has its brain flying out of its skull? Like this is peak California skater like kind of art, and I like that. So okay. I'm glad there's an audience for it because I just thought it was. It's not me. It ain't me. But I will say, have you played with the Speed Demon yet?
The card itself, I have not played with the Speed Demon, but I have played with Start Your Engines. And I think that's something that we should just get right out of the way now. Okay. I think that Start Your Engines is a lot better than people are giving it credit for. I think that it is a lot easier to hit max speed than you would think. So in 1v1.
Okay, in 1v1, I was going to ask.
Not Commander.
I've done both. I've commandered and started my engines. There's video evidence on the internet. And I have done it in Standard. And I will say, max speed is sometimes challenging. It is easier than I think people expected, but that doesn't mean it's not challenging. But especially cards like Speed Demon that don't require max speed to be good, like getting up to 2-3 speed just kind of happens, right? Like that, like it's not as challenging. So I agree with you on that one. I agree with you there. What are you doing with your speed?
I mean, right, like in Standard?
Yeah, 1v1.
In Standard, I was just mostly trying to get like, see if I can get the lands online. I was just testing all that out. Obviously, all the goblin stuff seemed interesting. Like, you know what I mean? Like
the goblins seem too good. I gotta say, I died to goblins every time. It wasn't close.
Goblins was looking nice, but I think it's a nice tier 2.5 deck or something. Tier 2. It is good. It's aggressive, right? But the problem is no one like in the early access events that you know I took part in really is jamming a ton of like nowhere to runs and all of that, because everything in your deck dies to cut down and nowhere to run. Right, everything in your deck does.
True. So, I'm trying to remember
even
the goblin.
In the competitive queues.
Yeah, what like the goblins with the exhaust abilities? Like
those were good.
I felt like I was always dead to the one that like can make a dragon. What's the name of that one? Do you remember?
the 2-drop.
Yeah,
the 2-drop. Something like Draconautics Engineer.
Yes. So Draconautics Engineer is exhaust for 1 red. It's a 2-mana 2/2. Exhaust for 1 red. Other creatures gain haste. Put a +1/+1 on this creature. And for 4 mana, create a 4/4 red dinosaur dragon creature token with flying. The number of times I was dead to this card is kind of crazy.
I played with that card, and I think you probably died a lot because I would equally die a lot too. It is a very good card. I think exhaust is the mechanic that we should be talking about, right? Like, start your engines. We'll see what happens when it actually officially launches. But my first impressions are like exhaust looks good, dude. Like, I think that loot is insane. That card is so pushed beyond belief. Like, I don't know why that card does all those things. I don't know why it has all the keywords. That card is nuts. Like, I'm talking like Agatha's Soul Cauldron is naturally in the deck. And when you get loot under a Soul Cauldron, it's even worse for you. But I'm saying just as a 5 mana threat, I would play this. It is insane.
It's a really good card. It was my commander in a game, and I had a deck just full of clones. That was about it.
Naturally.
It was too, and that, in my opinion, was way too good. I had way too many options and way too many ways to win the game all the time. And then oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. Sorry. Did you, when you were playing Exhaust, you saw how good it was? And you cloned it. What did you think of it in Standard?
Yeah. So I haven't played it in Standard, but what's happened against me is the Soul Cauldron thing. The Soul Cauldron thing was disgusting because you have like all these creatures with +1/+1 counters. So one is exhausting for mana, and another is exhausting for cards, and the other is exhausting for damage. And it was absolutely disgusting. It was Ashlizzle was the one that did it to me the first time, and also had a Soul Cauldron with multiple creatures and Voldaren Thrillseeker and loot under it.
Oh,
I mean, she didn't have to attack me. She did, I think, because she likes to. But she could have, she could have been burning. She was burning me out easily. And like, I was dead in like 8 different ways. It was gross. I am scared of the Soul Cauldron version of that deck, and it's going to be around for at least another year. Yeah.
Turns out Soul Cauldron's pretty good, I hear. A new thing that combos off its Soul Cauldron.
This is the kind of
Standard.
Yeah, this is the kind of card that, like, Soul Cauldron, when it came out, everybody was like, well, it's good, but like, what are we really doing? And there were some janky combos, but it's not getting any weaker in 3-year. Well, let's just call it Eternal Standard.
I mean, now with Exhaust in the format, it's definitely a scary thing having those abilities on anything. And I think that just like my teamer deck that I played with loot, I was able to play loot fairly, just as a 2/4, hit people, they lost that way as well, right?
Double strike with the lightning bolt attached and vigilance is really good. Like, nothing can block it.
Like, it's so nuts. And on top of that, the 2-drop you had mentioned was an all-star and probably one of the centerpieces of the deck, right? Like, I think Draconautics Engineer or whatever has to die. And did you know that Vengevine is in the format? Because
are you talking about the worm?
I'm talking about Afterburner Expert. You call it whatever you want. You call it you can call it Vengevine, you can call it Death Miss Raptor, but for Exhaust.
I was thinking, what are you talking about? I was thinking the Balestrider worm. What do you mean Vengevine?
No. This is
How is this a Vengevine?
It's 2 and a green, 4/2. It has Exhaust, 2 green, put 2 1/1 counters on it. But whenever you activate an Exhaust ability, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Have you had the chance to just do the 1 mana Exhaust on Draconautics Engineer? You get to just have an Afterburner Expert. You get haste. You get to swing. This is like kind of nuts. It's a build your own Vengevine. It's a Death Miss Raptors for Exhaust. The card is sweet.
I didn't see this card anywhere. I didn't see this card on a single radar. Oh my god.
Really?
Yeah.
I was playing this in my Exhaust deck, and it just came flying out off the top rope all the time. I was more than happy to throw it into the graveyard. Obviously, if someone had like the Torch card, then it's a bummer because it's exiled. But you know, that's just how it's gonna go. Otherwise, this card goes hard, and I think the exhaust archetype is very interesting, and I'm curious to see how it actually plays when it hits real standard.
I mean, by nature, exhaust abilities can be significantly better than your typical activate ability because of the only once clause. So the abilities should be pushed.
Yes.
And then there's this new synergy. It does feel like a new synergy to Magic. I don't feel like it's been done that many, for that long, of focusing on activate abilities with the likes of Agatha and Agatha's Soul Cauldron. And I feel like there are other cards I'm not quite thinking of that trigger off activate abilities. Redshift, I would say, is one. It provides mana just for activate abilities. So you have these things really coming together. And if it turns out busted, that's gonna be a deck. It's already a scary proposition.
It's nice. It's a nice deck. I played what is it? Sorry, I burped. I played with the vehicles.
Cut it. We can't have it. We can't have these things.
I played Naya vehicles. I don't know about you. Did you try Naya vehicles at all?
Did I try Naya vehicles? I'm not sure which pieces. The Naya Commander I ran was some moot that does start your engines. It had some vehicles, but
I mean, Commander, that card is sweet. I was talking standard.
Yeah, so the Boommobile I know is mana for abilities, so that could be interesting. So what'd you do with your deck? I didn't try anything probably quite like what you're talking about.
I played Culloden Triumph Caster, right? That's the 2/3 mounts and vehicles you control of haste, and whenever a mount enters, it's saddled, and then a vehicle is crewed, right? Dude, that card is so sick. It is such a glass cannon of deck, though. It is so bad if you do not have Culloden. It's comically terrible. But if you do have Culloden and you untap, you go swinging with Lumbering World Wagon, which is another new card where it's star 4. Powers equal to your lands.
Good. This card's good.
Yeah. It enters, you get a basic. It has haste, you swing, you get a basic. It's absolutely bonkers. And I kind of built a pseudo pod deck, right? Because Guardian Sunmare, 3 white, ward 2, when this creature attacks, while saddled, search your deck for a non-land permanent with mana value 3 or less, put it on the battlefield. Has saddle 4. I was able to go and grab Evasion. I was able to go grab a Grand Abolisher. I was able to just, you know what I mean? Grand
Abolisher is rude, dude.
Yeah, were you going to interact? Because some people will wait. Oh, maybe I'll see what happens, right? My removal is too situational.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that card to be fun. I don't know if the deck's actually good. I think the deck is super bad. There's so many times where it just sits and does nothing. But the one thing I learned while playing that deck is everyone will see this as the racing set. I see it as the Corgi set.
Okay, riding dogs.
Mascot.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Dude, regardless, if you take of the vehicle decks that I played and the Selesnya, which by the way, Selesnya Gear Hulk is insane. District Mascot just is a good card on its own. For those that don't know, it's a 1 mana, it's a 0/0, enters with a 1/1 counter, pay 1 and a green, remove 2 1/1 counters, destroy target artifact.
Yeah.
Right? Whenever this creature attacks while saddled, put a 1/1 counter on it and has saddle 1. I'm not just yapping. That has a lot of words on there, but if you removed half of that and it was just it didn't even have the artifact clause, I think it would still be good as well. Just whenever you swing with it, it gets another 1/1 counter. This is close to the lines of what is a Wild Nacatl in Standard and things like that. So if you remember those days, but this has upside, right? It's got to have that 2025 buff, and it does because it can't. What is it? What's the human Hopeful Initiate or whatever? The 1 mana
Hopeful Initiate was a 1/2 that you could remove counters from for 2 mana.
Something up.
3 mana. Yeah,
3 mana.
Artifacts and enchantments. Yeah, 3 mana. This is the better. This is better.
This is much better. It's way cuter, and that's my totally biased opinion because I have 3 corgis. But that is exact. This card is phenomenal in green. I very rarely am I ever excited to talk about a green card, but District Mascot goes above and beyond. And if Aetherdrift is going to have an effect on the meta as much as I think it might, then the destroy an artifact clause is going to be very good.
Yeah. Go for the throat ain't what it was yesterday. It just because Gear Hulks are here. Oh my god. And vehicles. Like there are multiple significant artifact creatures in the set now. I can't say enough about Bright Glass Gear Hulk. In fact, I need to come clean. I think I'm a green mage now.
That is it because the corgi made you a believer?
No, it's because every time I cast Bright Glass Gear Hulk on turn 3, thanks to a Llanowar elf, I felt unbeatable. This card is I don't know, man. I didn't feel like anything could go wrong if I had this card on curve. Anything. I'm talking about you build your deck and you can have your district mascots and you have your Llanowar elves, but you can also just have 4 creatures by going and getting the Paw Patch formation.
Yep.
That's 4 freaking creatures. And that, I mean, if the opponent's playing black removal spells and they're facing 4 Paw Patch formations, like they're cooked, dude. And so you can get a Haywire Might if you need to kill an enchantment. You can stick to the Doggo if they're playing artifacts. Then you get into the other things. You can have Valgavoss Lair as an enchantment land if you just want a Yasharn over here. You can go and get Dusk Rose Reliquary, which is a 1 mana way to exile target artifact or creature and has ward 2, and it doesn't have a cap on there. It's not a portable hole. And if you play it in a deck with a lot of token generators, or you can even in a pinch sacrifice the Gear Hulk itself, it's amazing. I played it in Cage. I just took your Collector's Cage kind of deck, and I added Bright Glass Gear Hulk, District Mascot, and an Aether Spark, because in one game I got an Aether Spark to make 10 mana and cast my Overlords from hand. That was
when
really
you're hard
nice.
casting Overlords, you're doing good.
I hard cast 2 Overlords in that game. It was good. Very good.
I think Gear Hulk is very good. Yeah, it turns out everyone's like, oh, it's just a Ranger of Eos. No, you remove the restrictions here, and you allow yourself to get artifact or enchantment, and this becomes an entirely different game. And on top of that, it's a 4 mana 4/4 first strike trample. So it's not like a terrible body or anything like that.
Yeah.
It closes out games as well.
The first strike is big. The first strike goes toe to toe with all the double striking mice that people are trying to pull off in the format and saves your butt. So I'm just going to be trying to jam Bright Glass Gear Hulk decks. Fountain Port is dead to me. I can't be casting my Bright Glass Gear Hulk with a Fountain Port. Get that out of here. Fair. It's over for that card. No more dirtling with fish tokens and treasures. I'm just gonna kill him. I swear, every time I play this, I felt unstoppable.
The card is nuts, and rightfully so. I think this is now going to change all the Gear Hulk, the green-white decks, into this kind of badass toolbox deck, right? I am so here for this. And to be honest with you, I played with all the Gear Hulks except the green-red one.
Okay, Gear Hulk review. Let's see. Tell me about another one.
So Riptide, kind of cracked. Riptide is cracked, unbelievably cracked. The ability to tuck anything third from the top has not only proven to be absurdly good, but then it having double strike prowess makes it so hard to swing past. If you how people try to cheese you with some kind of basic first strike or some basic death toucher. Yeah, dude, you can get there before they can get the death touch in. Like you said, mono red not only has to get it double strike, but also has to get their mice or whatever into a situation where it's going to be able to pump past the 5 toughness, right?
Yep.
So meaning that, which isn't hard, but the thing here is you'll maybe only take 2 if it bleeds through, if it somehow doesn't die to the double strike. But yeah, that card is really good. Wonderful top end. I played Coalstoke Gear Hulk's twin. That deck was a lot of fun, and oh my god, is it cheesy. And it is a one-trick pony all the way through. But if for those that don't know, Coalstoke Gear Hulk Enters, put a creature card with mana value 4 or less from the graveyard onto the battlefield. With a finale counter, it gets menace, death touch, and haste, right?
Yeah.
So you go and grab all the clones. And then when you grab all the clones, you then copy Coalstoke Gearhulk. You keep the loop until you bring every Gearhulk or clone, out of your graveyard, and you swing for lethal. I had FOMO in there to give one extra Gearhulk a double strike in case I needed it, right? But yeah, so that combo was a lot of fun, but I learned that this is an absurdly fragile deck. But the Coalstoke Gearhulk, I think, is good on its own without the cheese. I think just being able to bring something back and swing with it is enough, because I was able to bring back Oil Deep Gearhulk.
Okay.
And just get
Grixis, baby.
I was on Grixis. That's right. Blue, blue, black, black, and red, red. These are heavy color pips, and I'm not cheating them out that much. But Oil Deep Gearhulk proved to be also really good. I think that this is a card that I was very surprised with, just because it's 4 mana, 4/4, lifelink, ward 1, right? When it enters, look at target player's hand. You may choose a card from it, and if you do, that player discards it, draws a card. You can pitch a land if you need to, but the main thing here is the amount of times that I actually just, if I needed to, I target myself, was enough. Like, it dug me deeper into my deck. I was able to disrupt my opponents. Like, yeah, sure. Sometimes maybe my opponent plays some deck, like they had Beanstalk and they drew 150 different cards. Obviously, one slow Vendilion click is not going to do it. But I was able to stop aggression. I myself had it stayed alive from the lifelink. It's a good body. I am a big fan of all of these Gearhulks so far. Coalstoke, I think, I remains to be seen, but it has a lot of potential. I think just with what it's able to do and bringing something back, giving it haste. The red-green one, that's a commander card. I don't think I'm playing that.
It definitely is. I've played that in the Living Energy upgrade commander deck, where you can make a copy of it with Saheeli, and that goes pretty hard. But for the most part, the Pyrowood Gearhulk is probably the commander card out of them. I want to say really quick on the Coalstoke Gearhulk comboing off. The first time I played against this kind of Grixis clones thing, they never found one, so they milled half their deck, and I have no idea what was going on, and I killed them. And then the second time was again against Ash Lizzle, who absolutely destroyed me, and I was playing a discard deck, so I helped her dump the stuff into the graveyard.
Oh, that's so nice of you.
I know. And then she punished the hell out of me. That was actually very charming, and I loved that because I didn't even like my own deck. It was so mean.
I mean, if you liked it, why would you throw it away? Why would you discard it?
Well, I mentioned that because I also had the Oil Deep Gearhulk in the Dimir self-bounce deck. I can't believe they put 3 potential new cards for the Dimir self-bounce deck that is already causing people nightmares on. It has 3 new cards. It has Grim Bobble. So
yes,
good old just removal. Thank you, Grim Bobble. So that'll be great. And it's bounceable. And
it's a disfigure.
Yep. But this card, this is just a little uncommon. I am so twisted up about this card. Momentum Breaker.
What is that?
Momentum Breaker. Oh, let me help you. Because I think this might be the most messed up card. I really do. 1 and a black for an enchantment. Uncommon, starts the engines. When this enchantment enters, each opponent sacrifices a creature or vehicle of their choice. Already a good edict, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it says more. Each opponent who can't discards a card. It's already the best edict, because you can play it on an empty board and get value, get a 1-for-1. Oh, we're not done. 2, sacrifice this enchantment. Gain life equal to your speed. It's 4 life sitting on the battlefield just in case the opponent found a way to pull some damage out against your Hopeless Nightmare loops. And the Hopeless Nightmares increase the speed just doing what they do. This card is stupid, Crim. I hate Momentum Breaker. Why does a Momentum Breaker start your engine, Crim? It should stop an engine, Crim. This card is insane. And it's an uncommon, and it's already the best edict they've ever made, and they put life on it.
I think I played against this. You're right. This card is nuts. I don't know why they. You know what it is? The bounce deck plays at such an absurdly cheap rate on all of its cards. I do not see, like, at least for the hope of the health of the format, I do not see Town Ain't Big Enough is still going to be legal.
You think you think they're going to ban this Town Ain't Big Enough? That's an interesting take.
I think that's the most broken card in that deck. Without a doubt. Hopeless Nightmare, sure, whatever, you got me. Maybe you play a Pixie, you get me there as well, and you bounce it and you do it again. But the problem is, Town Ain't Big Enough is too versatile. It's too versatile. It bounces whatever they need, whether it's your best threat or all their stuff back to their hand. They do it all over again. It's too efficient. It's too efficient. And we are now learning, by the way, Momentum Breaker, obviously insane, but you're forgetting the fourth inclusion to the deck. You said 3. The fourth one is Spell Pierce. I got Spell Pierced, and dude, I'm a little bit worried. I don't know why Spell Pierce is in this format when that deck is like the deck.
Bro, Spell Pierce is in the format to counter this Town Ain't Big Enough.
Sure, right. Isn't this the old mental misstep thing? Oh, but then the decks that are they're just gonna mental misstep you. Like, I cannot believe Spell Pierce is in there, and now they've given them the Edict. They've given them a Gear Hulk. I mean, oh god, Blue-Black is looking real good.
It's
dude.
hard to believe this archetype was on the radar, because they are just putting these card positive effects on all these cheap permanents. It just doesn't feel like anybody got there, because they're still doing it. And I think they thought that it was fun and a good way to set up a few other synergies without looking into like just the self bounce that was so affordable. It blows my mind. It blows my mind, dude. Oh, yeah. I'm scared. My very first video was like, it was called It's Over. I'm sorry, I ruined Standard. It was just Dimir. It was just Dimir self bounce with Gear Hulk, Momentum Breaker, and Grim Bobble, and it was so nasty, dude. It's so I hate it so much. I didn't even add Spell Pierce. If I best of 3'd, I would.
Need the Spell Pierce.
If I best of 3'd, I would. It's early access. If I'm going up against a Bright Glass Gear Hulk deck or a Goblins deck, I'm going to get killed for that. But
that's fair. That's fair.
That's the other thing in best of 3. So many tools now. So many tools. Holy cow. But that's why Bright Glass Gear Hulk has to be like the savior, because it's such a card positive thing, and bouncing it doesn't save you, and go for the throwing it doesn't save you. And you can probably set it up to play around an Edict, because you can have your deck's full of small creatures, right? So you can keep it from being edicted, and it's too big for nowhere to run. So I'm hoping that's our savior. We'll have Bright Glass Gear Hulk versus Hell on Earth, aka the Dimir Bounce deck. That's Standard.
I personally play the Dimir Bounce deck. That's what I take to the RCQs and whatnot. But like this could be the biggest like tipping point for the Standard format, because right now, up until this point, I thought Standard has been phenomenal. Right now, is this the first like bump in the road? Because Spell Pierce, all these things, they're kind of cracked, right? Like for that Dimir deck, I think the Dimir deck might be a little overtuned now, and there's a chance that that's all we're gonna play. I know some people are like, like that's. I don't necessarily think that if it's only mirror matches, it's bad, but the play pattern, actually, believe it or not. This is going to sound crazy, but the play pattern's really fun. Have you played a mirror match?
Yeah.
It's so fun. It's like Delver.
It's not fun.
It's so fun, dude.
You are toxic, though. You are not every Magic player.
How do you not like outplaying? It's like, okay, we're going to sequence this way.
It's a game of Dan is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a game of
so sick.
Dan.
CGB, come on. You of all people should love a game of Dan. It's so fun.
It's fun the first time.
I'll give you that. Still have fun.
I can't wait till it involves like sideboarding in Oil Deep Gear Hulk, so you're also just looking at their hand and swapping cards, and they draw the same card again, and the Thoughtseize bug over and over and over. That's gonna be great. I'm gonna love all of that. But what if you
throw away your own stuff, CGB? See this. I don't know. Yeah. I want to see this set in full though, because like right now, like overall, my opinion is that this set, at the end of the year, when we look back, my hot take is that I think this set will be nothing but Commander All-Stars. I've talked to you a lot about Standard.
Whoa, okay.
But I have not talked to you about the Commander side of this set.
Okay.
And so for all my Commander gamers...
Hold on. Before you do it, I want to be clear. By the end of the year, you don't think the cards in this deck will be like the cards in this set will be impacting Standard. You think it'll be all about Commander?
I think it is going to impact Standard. I already think it's going to have a big impact on Standard. It's got a lot of stuff here, but I mean, March of the Machines and whatnot, right? All will be one. Or March of the Machine, I think, is the one I'm thinking of. It had the most, whichever one has Fairy Mastermind, whichever set that was.
March of the Machine, man. And it had the Itali, Primal Conqueror. It had so many Commander cards. It was insane.
My hot take was that was going to be a Commander All-Star set, and it was. Right? At the end of the year, it did not get enough love. People hated the team-ups, whatever. They want to say what they will. But the way the set plays and the power level of that set, there are so many cards that are in that set that I think would make a top 10 of any kind of like, top 10 Commander cards from this set. Yada yada.
Yeah, the 25th best Commander in that set is better than some of the Commanders from the sets in the year before.
Yeah.
It's deep.
It's a deep Commander set, and I think this will also be a deep Commander set. I filmed a video playing Gonti Night Minister. That one was a fun Commander. Probably my favorite. Like, that is one of the new decks I am going to be jamming at the Command Fest or Chicago.
Why am I not surprised?
It's so fun. But yeah, like, I think this set, as of right now, right, has a lot of good things. I know that the rest of the guys at Goldfish give me flack for this, but I think the Raceways are nuts. I think Miragonda Raceway, Amonkhet Raceway, those two are nuts. I think that rewarding me for doing things I already want to do is already just worth a consideration.
So I have questions.
Yeah.
Are we talking about their group slug nuts, their aggro nuts, or their every deck kind of nuts? Like, why do these work? Because you can start your engines on turn one, but like, obviously you must be playing decks that lower people's life total at least on a majority of turns, right?
Yes. Like, if you're an aggressive deck, I think it's phenomenal. If you have the thing is, people like, you have to build around start your engines. Not really. Right? Like, I get it. You want it early. Like, you want to try to see the start your engine stuff early so then you can start building on the subsequent turns, but and whatnot. But I think if I drew Miragonda Gateway or Raceway or Amonkhet Raceway on turn like 7, I think it's still good.
It's a land. Like, any land you are going to draw on turn 7 is still just a land. At least it's an untapped land, right? So
it's untapped, not potentially a soul land.
It's not that different from the cost of what it would be otherwise.
Right. And then it has the huge upside of when you see it early, right? Because then you start your engines earlier. Whereas like Temple of the False God, I don't necessarily want to see that before I have 5 lands.
True.
And so like, there's a lot in this set that I think has some powerhouses. And start your engines, once it's much easier to track than Night and Day. And once you get to max speed, there's lots of stuff here that's going to be fun to look at. But if you ignore max speed, just that alone and the mechanics of it, I just think there's good cards here. And I think, obviously it's a bit bold to say that now when I haven't seen the rest of the year, but I think this is one of those sets that'll be overlooked, forgotten about, and because, it's the racing set. That's not my vibe, so don't care. But then they're going to start to see these cards pop up, and it's going to matter.
Yeah.
And these cards are going to be expensive because it's going to be one of those sets that are not widely opened, right? So I'm just saying, we already see Gearhulk. Bright Class Gearhulk is an equal amount All-Star in Standard, as it. It's actually even better.
It's better in Commander. I bought 3 of them for Commander decks today.
Yeah. I bought I pre-ordered my playset already. That and Riptide Gearhulk.
Same thing.
Dude, these are insane Commander cards. Pyrewood Gearhulk, great in Commander as well. With all the fogs, damage prevention, Teferi's protection, stuff like that. Like, The worst Gear Hulk here is probably Oil Deep when it comes to Commander. Oil Deep is a 1v1. Maybe Coal Stoke is also kind of bad. I don't necessarily like it all that much either.
I think they're still both good. I think, like, yeah, they're not great, but they're good. There's decks that would still play them. Any kind of like blink, reanimate-y stuff. Like, they're better than some spots.
I mean, yeah, they're better in some spots. And like, I think something... The Aether Spark is the perfect Commander card because it's absolutely I don't know if I can swear, but ass.
Yeah.
Ass in Standard. It is like ass in Standard.
I got it to work once.
See, that's how ass it is, though. You got to celebrate that you got it to work once.
In early access, baby. Ask me anything. Easy. But in Commander, I think I know what you're going to say. In Commander, the Aether Spark is fucking cracked, dude.
Yeah.
It is insane.
That's how you know it's a good Commander card. It's ass in Standard, and you know that way it's going to be solid in multiplayer because it solves the Planeswalker issue. Everybody just hits it and then it dies, right? And then it's gone. But this is attached to the creature. We know no one plays enough spot removal in Commander. So now they have to answer the creature. And if they don't, you will get...
Yeah, they can't
attack it. That 10 mana is
very
real. That 10 mana is very real.
The number of times already... So we've had the Aether Spark in a number of games that we've recorded. The number of times that somebody's been threatening to make 10 mana on like turn 4. Every green deck so far seems to have threatened to make 10 mana on turn 4 with the Aether Spark, which is absolutely wild. I mean, this card, it's vulnerable to many things, and that was the other thing we learned is we're going over, can anybody answer the Aether Spark? All three of us looking at our hand. I go, it's an artifact. It's an equipment. It's a planeswalker. Oh, I've got something. You know, it's that. So like a lot of things can hit it, but it's such a threat. Like, and when it goes, man, does it go? The loyalty adds up so quickly, and the draw 2 cards is like there's no like fail state if you can attach it and keep it from being attacked. If you can protect the creature it's attached to, there's no fail state. You're gonna get loyalty, and you're gonna draw cards or make a lot of mana to use for the cards. It's an amazing piece of Magic the Gathering design, the Aether Spark.
Yeah, that again, they've done a very good. I'm happy they rolled back on like the amount of planeswalkers when we used to have like 15%. Now we're seeing like as the years have gone, like the cooled planeswalkers. We saw the Wandering Emperor. We saw like these really interesting designed planeswalkers. So this is another one of them, and I think this one is really good for Commander. So when we look at that in the Monument of Endurance, and even down to like the uncommons like Sky Serpent Seeker, these are all cards that we're gonna see in Commander.
The Monument of Endurance is kind of amazing on its own. Whether you have a card that discards it, like anything that makes you discard, like is this the answer to the Dimir Bounce deck?
Not quite.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think a 3 mana do nothing artifact in Standard gets you killed. That's what I think.
Oh, for sure. And that's why. But I do think, believe it or not, there is a lot here like Mindspring Merfolk as well for Commander. And we have Riverturn Monument for all my mill players out there in Commander. You know what's up. And then Unstoppable Plan. Dude, like, tell me this set doesn't look powerful in Commander.
Oh, like there's a lot. Yeah. Like that was just Crim naming 3 blue cards just out of nowhere that we don't even take the time to betray the text of, but they all do things that we like. And there's even more, like Repurposing Bay is kind of a insane pod. So like it goes on and on. Mentioned. Yeah, it goes on and on. You can go down the list. Almost everything that isn't designed for limited seems to have a role. Valor's Flagship cycles itself to make it a Grease Fang star or Vehicle Deck star, or pull stuff out of the graveyard deck star. This stuff is legit. I want to know about your Gonti deck. Can I ask you to dig on the Gonti a little?
Yeah. What do you want to know about it?
Yeah. Is it how do you take advantage? So Gonti is 4 mana for 3/4, and whenever a player casts a spell they don't own, that player creates a treasure token. Whenever a creature deals damage to one of your opponents, its controller looks at the top card of the library, exiles it face down. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled, and mana of any type can be used. So everybody gets the opportunity to cast each other's spells, basically, as long as they're hitting people that are not you. How do you take more advantage of that?
So, what's the name of that Simic elf that does the same thing, but you draw a card if you don't hit the person that has the Simic elf? It's a commander. It's legendary. I can't remember. It's not No, I don't have it. It's not that. Like, yeah.
E something? Does it start with an E? I don't know.
It was Azuri.
It's not it's not an Azuri. It's Cedric or something.
Oh, wait. No, Zedru is
Cedric Phillips. No.
Edric.
There it is.
It's Edric. There it is. We got there. Okay. So it is Edric, but in mono black, right? And the one thing that makes this very, very interesting is that in mono black, you have access to cards like Dothi Embrace. I leaned into this to give Dothi Embrace, for those that don't know, 2 and a black enchantment. If you pay 2 black, target creature gains shadow. Target creature, including your opponent's creatures, by the way, in case you want to politic a little more. Because you could just get somebody clean, right?
Wow, dude. Wow. You are a problem. You're going to set up the Night Minister, and then you're going to politic them.
Yep.
Okay.
You set up the Night Minister because remember, anytime a player casts a spell they don't own, that player creates a treasure token, right? So that's going to be very easy. Example, when you play Outrageous Robbery, I have that. I also play Rev, Tithe Extractor, which is the anime character from Jumpstart, right? So I play Thieving Amalgam. You also have Thieving Varmint for when you hit your... I built the deck with a bunch of cheap evasive threats with also a lot of shadow. I dug up a lot of old shadow cards.
Nice.
And you've got Tony Bones, the 1-drop, right? The Pickpocket. And I just play a bunch of little cheap things and then get the payoff through Hoarding Broodlord, or maybe even like Orochi, like Soul Reavers, and all of those things. Combine that with the fact that Opposition Agent is at home in this deck.
God damn it.
Opposition Agent actually loves that card, like everything about it. I even pack Cruel Claw's Heist in this deck, dude, just to make sure I get a treasure. I gift you a card so I can cast something. I've got, I've got it all in here. And Chaos Wand, CGB. Chaos Wand, did you know casts the card? It's freaking perfect, dude.
Pays for itself.
It does.
I mean, okay, the Chaos Wand is sweet. I'm going to give you that. I've got a really deep shadow cut. Did you know about this one? You might not, because it's from Lord of the Rings. Do you know about Minas Morgul, Dark Fortress?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
I have the land in the deck, baby. You know I got that.
When I realized you could put a shadow counter on the opponent's creatures, I was like, this land is amazing, because I'm such a nerd for those like political trickery moments, right? I'm trying to remember. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I put a shadow counter on my opponent's thing. They killed somebody. Then the next turn they attacked me with it, and I put a shadow counter on my thing, my Death Toucher, to block it, and was like, oops.
Oh my god. Yeah, you know what? Nice try. Try blocking this.
I'm the master of the shadow, damn it. Yeah, it was fun.
Do you know about this hidden card? Vashta Narada. That's in the deck, baby.
Oh, I do know this card. This is the Doctor Who card. Yeah, I played this card. Yeah, at the beginning.
For those that don't know,
go ahead.
It's 2 and a black, 1/1, indestructible, shadow. Morbid, at the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, put a 1/1 counter on it. This card is a beast in a shadow deck.
It gets so big. So big.
Yeah, now imagine you get a draw off your opponent's deck. Like this deck is a nightmare to play digitally. Like I'm never playing this on like Spell Table, but like it is so much fun in paper, dude. The politic you can do is so good.
I had a Vashta Narada once, and I cast Decree of Pain and drew like 11 cards and made a 12/12 shadow. It's not per creature that dies, but like it had already become very big. It was fun.
And one more thing before we move on from the commander deck of Gonti. scheming symmetry is at its finest in this deck.
Oh my god.
1 mana. Sorcery. Choose 2 target players. Each of them search their library for a card, then shuffles their library and puts that card on top of it. You essentially get somebody to do your bidding for you. I go ask them, like, hey, right now we need a board wipe. Do you have one? Go get a board wipe from your deck. And then I cast it, get a treasure, right? Like, you could do whatever while getting the card you want on top as well.
And if they attack you, they don't steal the card you tutored for, because Gonti works for you. Yeah. Okay. Correct. Sweet. I can't wait for a game where there's 2 Gontis at the table. And
oh, that's miserable. But we should just play. You know what, CGB? Let's just get a commander pod going. We play all Gontis.
Oops, all Gonti. Everyone plays a Gonti. There's enough Gontis. We can do it. Yeah. I want to build this deck too. I have like an outline for it that's probably about 20 cards short of being done. So that's why I really wanted to ask you about it, because it does seem fun. Toxicity, I think, is a good word.
I'll definitely send you my list. You can do whatever you want with it. To take from it however you need. The deck is fun. The deck is very fun. So just from this alone, like, this is one of the many things. And like, that's not even talking about the precons from Aetherdrift.
Do you like them?
Aetherdrift has. I think the zombie precon's nuts. It's so strong. Like that 1 5-mana zombie that's blue and draws you cards equals the number of zombies in graveyard or on battlefield, whichever is more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Prophet of the Scarab.
Yeah. I got attacked last Monday for a very, very, very large number because of the Prophet of the Scarab being reanimated by, of course, the Scarab God.
Naturally.
Oh my. Yeah. Temet really likes that card.
Yeah, that's like the 1-2 with Temet. And then there's Hashaton, Scarab's Fist, which is breaking waves is making waves right now, because people are saying it's already busted.
CDH is going crazy over this card. Yeah.
So if it's good in CDH, I have to imagine it's going to do silly things in casual as well. And I'm excited to see like Wizened Mentor, because that means that's a cycle now, right? Wizened Mentor's 2 mana, 2/2 and white. Whenever an opponent activates the ability of a permanent that isn't a mana ability, create a white zombie token. Triggers once each turn. I think that card is also really good. And the Accursed Duneyard land. So, dude, there's a lot in these commander decks as well. The original cards are powerful. And as an Esper Zombies enjoyer already, I'm just pretty much taking this deck and I'm just putting the new cards in. Mm-hmm. So, all around, I like the set when it comes to playing. The playability of the set is strong. The flavor, I get, not for everybody, though. Not for everybody. This one is just something that speaks to me. And if you know what cell damage is, 1, you've just outed how old you are. 2, you have good taste.
But you're probably not as old as me. So that's something.
That's fair.
You still think I'm 29. I appreciate you for that.
I swear, I thought you were. I still think you are. So, I'm just saying, if you know cell damage, you know what's up. So, I think this set though is fun.
Okay. I agree with that. You want?
What are your thoughts on? Like, I mean, you agree. I remember at the beginning of the podcast, you had said you like how it plays.
The gameplay, yeah. I do. So I get that there's like a spectrum out there, a scale almost, you can slide it, of how important flavor is to you and how much it impacts your gameplay experience. And then you have the types who are often like, they could be blank cards and I'd play them, right? Usually a lie, quite frankly, because we enjoy that stuff a lot more than I think we even admit that we do. But I do think that when you get past the theme, that you get a really good gameplay experience. And I'll say this about the precons. This is definitely exclusive to the precons. You notice they had 2 precons. One was set very much in the Kaladesh Avishkar world, and the other was and the other was set very much in Amonkhet. And there were so many cards, like kind of classic cards from those standards. Those standards were a while ago now. Like there was a retro standards now. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? But I remember watching those pro tours. I remember like what the competitive scene was like for those standards.
Jerry Thompson won with zombies, right?
That's right. And then Teamer Energy took over like every event for like Brad Nelson and Corey Baumeister and Brian Braun-Duin all made top 8 of a Grand Prix with the same Teamer Energy deck. Like these things took over standard. They were a huge part of the game. These commander decks have so many like good callbacks, not just the reprints, but the arts, like new arts on so many of the cards. Each deck going through it, I was just like, dude, I feel this. I feel the plane. I feel the callbacks to that standard. It felt like they were very intentional commander decks. Like they were almost, I thought the commander decks were collector's items in their own right. You know, I thought they were really well done. The new cards were good. The reprints were good. The new arts on those reprints that match the plane, like all the arts clearly match the plane you are on. I hope they keep doing that. I thought that was an A+. That was an A+.
I can understand the people that complained about the fact that it feels, well, like kind of bad that we only got like one commander deck that has all the Amonkhet art, right? And then you have like the Avishkar art as well, and those clash. And I think there's a complaint that people wanted just a whole plane of just Avishkar or just Amonkhet. So to see the planes mashed together means you don't get as much of that world.
Yeah.
Which I get that, right? Like anytime I'd get a chance to return to my world, like a world I love, like if I imagine us going back to Lorwyn and it's split elsewhere, I can understand that complaint.
Yeah,
I love legit.
Lorwyn. Especially with all the other like universes beyond sets that are coming. It's like people want more Magic Plane because I think they're going to get less of it than they got before.
I'm excited to, like, obviously, you know, I want to return to a world where they race again because I liked the idea of different racetracks, right? Because that's just fun, right? It's wacky, but at the same time, I do want, you know, full planes, right? Like I want a full plane of Lorwyn. When we go back there, I want nothing but Lorwyn, right? And I get it. If they decide to do something else, we'll see how they handle it. But I can see the complaints on some of the stuff if this is not your jam.
Yeah, and I'm also down for a racing Kamigawa because I think like Kamigawa and Neon Dynasty makes sense. Yeah, it would be a lot of fun. So yeah, I think those are good points. There is one more thing I just saw yesterday. Magic the Gathering has a movie?
Yeah, so there's a Magic movie coming.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just get some history here. Magic said they were going to have a Magic show or something like that way back when, and it was supposed to come out in like 2018 or something like that, and it had the Russo brothers attached to it, who, for those that don't know, they did Avengers Endgame, Infinity War, all of that stuff, right? And then I guess the project goes silent. No one hears anything. And it's confirmed that they swap out the Russo brothers. They pick up the person who did Transformers Prime, I think, to now direct.
So I have to go back in time on you before we go too far. We need the full Magic the Gathering movie history. In February 2008, Hasbro made a deal with Universal for 4 films around Magic the Gathering.
There it is. Okay, I left that out, I guess.
That was halted in 2012.
Oh, man.
So, like, we've been here before. A Magic the Gathering movie franchise was then announced on January 14th of 2014 by Fox, 20th Century Fox. Featuring I see, like, is this the director from or the producer from X-Men Days of Future Past?
Oh god. Sure, yeah.
Okay. This movie was still expected in December 2017, but eventually dropped, I guess. Okay. All right. Then we have WotC working together with 4 people who worked on Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Okay. it doesn't have a timeline for this, but and then in cooperation with Netflix, starting in August 2019, there was an overhaul at Fox, so that got axed. And then the beginning in 2020, April 2020, the Netflix report of a live action project began, which is now currently an animated miniseries.
Yeah.
Where Angelina Jolie is reportedly considered for Liliana Vess. What?
Okay, that sounds like a meme.
Okay.
That can't be real.
I mean, this is all MTG fandoms, MTG Wiki, but yeah. Let's just say we've been here before.
We have. So all of it is to say that we've been here before, but the difference is, and there's one key thing, and is that the distributor of this, they partnered up with Legendary Studios.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Why them? Because I know personally they are willing to put out some of the wildest movies. They have a Minecraft movie. They've made, Godzilla vs. Kong, these movies.
If you've seen the latest MonsterVerse movies,
yes.
They have gone full crazy. They have gone full popcorn flick, full entertainment. They know that Godzilla and King Kong are silly things by their nature, and they are just like, it's kind of awesome to see Godzilla -1, where the Japanese take Godzilla very seriously, because it's still...
God, it was so good.
Yeah, it's such a good movie. And then you can go watch Godzilla x Kong, and it's just nonstop nonsense. And they're both fun.
I wonder how many people went to Kong after watching 1, because they're like, oh, the Godzilla's good again. Oh my God, what is this terrible movie?
But they're both good in their way. I mean, Godzilla -1 is a better movie by a mile. I will never argue.
Not close.
I still love watching the Godzilla movies, and I think Legendary does. At this point, I would say where they're at now have a very positive record of taking properties and at least making them fun for the target audience. And that is not something that Hollywood has been great at over the years, especially with regards to gaming properties.
Exactly. So the best gaming property now, as of now, is the Sonic franchise, which is great movies, fun movies. And so for those that don't know, a little more on Legendary Pictures is they did the Warcraft movie. Terrible movie, by the way. Terrible movie. I own it on Blu-ray, though, because it was so bad that I had to watch it again.
I love that you start there. All that hope dashed.
Then Pacific Rim. So you that was actually fun, I guess.
I like those movies. I'm a nerd for a kaiju.
Yeah, I thought they were fun. But the crazy thing is, they obviously did Dune Part 2 and all of that, right? But one of the things is they've kind of, as I've said, they've done a lot of wild movies that most people wouldn't think to do. So like a Minecraft movie and stuff like that.
Detective Pikachu?
I think... Well, that's what I was going to get to.
Oh, sorry, I buried you.
Detective Pikachu is a video game character, was a very good, very enjoyable adaptation for a live action. And I think Detective Pikachu lays the blueprint for what they could do in some departments. And I'll get to what I mean by that later. I think that because they are willing to do video game movies, I think there's validity to this project. I think this gives it a little more weight. I feel like they'll actually push this. And on top of that, I got bad news for y'all. CGB, I know we thought this was niche, but I think Magic is becoming mainstream. And exactly. And when Magic is moving into the mainstream, I think there's more weight to like Legendary Pictures picking it up, and then the next part, right? So now I don't get me wrong, I have been very much so in the dumps and skeptical about the movie and any kind of like film, whatever, TV coming from Magic and ever like being made. But let's just go with I feel a lot better with that now. So now that I feel like it might actually happen, where do they actually go, right? So this is going to sound crazy. What do you just name some arcs in story that you think would make for a good movie? I'm curious what you think would make for a good movie.
For a good movie or a good first movie?
Let's go with first movie. We only have one shot right now, right? We don't know if there's
one shot.
Mom Spaghetti, this is the only one that we get, because if it flubs,
Yeah, the announcement was that there's also going to be like a TV multiverse, but if something flops, it's not happening.
Yeah.
It could all get canceled. If you had one shot, one opportunity. So I feel like the Brothers War is going to be something a lot of people mention, but I don't particularly think that's a story that, like, it's not that it wouldn't resonate. I just don't know if that's your launching point. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't know if that's the thing that hooks people into wanting more. I think it's its own tale. So two things came to mind. The Nicole, and they're both kind of recent, so it might tell to the type of storytelling they were going for. The arc that ends with Nicole Bolas, War of the Spark. That arc, I think, is great. Just one of the greatest of villains that you could do very, very well, and a Liliana story that people would get behind and would be, I think, what people would show up for. The cry for like a movie or anime series or something after just the trailer for War of the Spark leads me to believe there's resonance there, and that the core fan base would show up and that it could reach other people. So, Necromancer versus giant dragon in a fight for world destruction sounds like something you could definitely get a legendary movie about. So that's the first one that comes to mind. And then the other one, again, is a recent one, and I don't think the lore did it justice. And it's the second Phyrexian invasion angle. Yep. Okay. I think that could be a better movie than it turned out to be an MTG set as far as March of the Machine and the lore.
I would say, in my opinion, I think that War of the Spark is one of those movies that it blew up as a set because it also came in around the time of Avengers, everything coming together, right? So it was a well-timed trailer, a well-timed story as well. But I think that, like the Avengers movies, it's a lot of buildup, right? So if you just have all these characters like, oh, hey, here's Teferi, here's, Dak Vaden, and all of that, if they show up, it's not going to have the impact or the things that matter, right? Like, who is all of this? I will say Brothers War is the one that I think a lot of people will also say, but I think Brothers War is kind of just not the one you want to start with as well, but mostly just because you only have one shot to make this movie right. And the problem with that is, I think if we go with any of the older Magic stories, we will be labeled as generic fantasy 1, right? Like the movie will come out as generic, right? Like you have the Dungeons and Dragons movie that came out with, Chris Pine and all of that, right? I thought it was an enjoyable movie, but it kind of flopped because it was just a fantasy movie, right? And it, I think I don't want that for Magic. And I think Magic would have to go with, I like the idea of Phyrexians. I think the Phyrexian is, whether it's the conclusion, the Phyrexian War, I don't know if that's the one I'd start, or the end of the Phyrexian War.
Yeah,
but
I'm also, to clarify, I'm also thinking of maybe there's some stories in the buildup that could be movies like Neon Dynasty was part of that buildup, right? Kaldheim was part of that buildup. So those are interesting too. It allows them
to build. But my problem is, though, I think this is me thinking like cinema-wise and like film-wise. I think that with how shaky and risky this franchise is, I don't like building and making a movie that assumes it's getting a follow-up. I would make a movie that is good on its own, and if it succeeds, and we're lucky enough to have it succeed, then we welcome another movie, right?
So what's the movie, Crim? What is it?
I think it should be Jace, Vraska getting loot. Because I genuinely...
Oh my God. Okay.
This is going to get me yelled at. But
this is Outlaws.
You don't have to make it Outlaws, though. Remember this. How much of this is in cement, right? Like, don't make it so they have cowboy hats. Whatever. Just have it actually be a space, like kind of this fantasy, sci-fi, like sci-fantasy vibe, right?
Okay.
It doesn't have to be loot, whatever. You can call it whatever you want. But I think just that short story alone gives you two solid anchors in a character to follow, right? All you need to know is that Jace is a mind mage. He likes going around learning about magic, right? And Vraska, this grizzled veteran, I don't know, this war person that comes from another plane, they are in love. They rescue loot. It's a very simple concept between that and or just a Phyrexian battle. And I think the reason why I like the Jace Vraska one and like the pros to that is that it offers something that doesn't look like a generic fantasy movie.
That's
I
true.
think, and then now why I think Phyrexians could also do well is because Phyrexians look horror-esque by nature, right? Mm-hmm. So you can make this kind of like this darker horror type kind of movie, horror looking movie. And like just like darker tones, like don't think like horror movie, think more like Hellboy or like Ghost Rider.
Okay.
Right? Obviously, but better than Hellboy and Ghost Rider, please.
Please.
Because that's the way Phyrexians kind of look, right? So if you choose one of these stories, I think it favors the aesthetics of this world would look very much so different than just generic fantasy. And I like that. Personally, this is gonna. I think that this is gonna get me yelled at by the YouTube comments. Like, what? He just said loot, yada yada yada. But like, what is the one thing Magic's needed, right? And it's something something to latch onto for everybody, not just not for a niche crowd, for a lot of people. And the way I latched on, like as a kid watching Star Wars, right? Cool. There's a character for everybody of all age groups. They do the same thing here in Magic. And I think they just focus around Loot and Vraska, Jason Vraska going on a hunt. They find loot, maybe loot's at the end of the movie, and then it gives you kind of like this cute little fuzzy character, which they've already done in Detective Pikachu.
True.
Right? So
yeah.
So the blueprint for what movies they could pull from, they've already got some of that under their belt. So between you make it look like, I don't know, sci-fi-esque, sci-fantasy, and then you throw in a little bit of a cute fuzzy creature
of course,
at the end.
The formula, yes.
It
works.
Safe in story writing, but where they can experiment is how to make everything look. Right? It's a safe story that allows you to explore the world and do a lot more from there. Because now you open up omen paths, right? And then omen paths are now made known to the community at large. And sure, all the Magic fans that have been around for so long can grumble and complain, but you got to think about this from building a movie. If they want to build a movie universe, I think this is how they would do it. Omen paths is something they don't even have to fully focus on, but it gives them the opportunity to go deeper, explore more planes. Then you meet other characters, Teferi, Ral, all of that. And I like that. I think that's a good way to get into a Magic world. Personally, I think Magic as a movie is always going to be tough to do. Mm-hmm. I think Magic is a much better TV property because you do a true detective thing. The prior season doesn't have anything to do with this current season. You just make it an individual story. Each season is its own contained story. But if you're going to make a movie, I think this is the way you'd go about it. And I mean, you got to think about it from the kids' perspective too. I grew up loving Pokemon to this day because they had an anime and a movie, right? So I know all the Magic players right now who are in their 30s, 30 plus, they're grumbling, no, screw that. It's the same reaction.
We didn't have that when we were growing up, so how could we understand how important it is?
But you did. You did. You had it in Star Wars.
I'm not Star that Wars... old, okay?
Okay. I don't know where you are on the age meter, but they've seen it before, right? Star Wars brings in, I don't know, Jawas and stuff like that.
No, it's we had Transformers, 80s kid, right? Had Transformers. Yeah. I also liked a show called Mask that was a ripoff of Transformers that also got you to buy toys. Like stuff like that. The Batman toys when that movie came out in 89 was a big deal. But I didn't have, I was into Magic from, through my teen years, but it was before Pokemon. I never had any kind of a media tie-in to the game that I loved. I just had those really bad commercials. Have you seen those?
No.
Oh my God. Someday look up the 90s commercials for Magic the Gathering on YouTube. It's content. You should do it on stream. You should do it on stream.
Sounds interesting. I want to see this. So.
Oh, you do. Oh, yes. Look up their Ice Age commercial. It is, it's a game.
I have the Ice Age comic.
that
came out from way
that's
back
as
then.
close as it came. I would find those at some comic stores. They were hard to find, or in the back of like Inquest magazine. I think I had like a couple of those comic books, but I couldn't get all of them. And I bought books, like paperback books, Magic the Gathering paperback books from Harper Prism. There were 5 of those. But yeah, this TV show tie-in thing, we did the old boomer thing of creating the Magic cinematic universe in our mind. We used our imagination. So we don't need your TV shows for these Zoomer kids, okay? We've got our minds. But yeah, I think that's where a lot of the disconnect comes from.
I think the disconnect will come from that for sure, right? Because it's like, oh, well, we're used to, like, we don't need all of this. We just let magic be magic and it'll get there naturally. And I do agree with that to some extent. But I do think that there are things that need to exist in the cinematic world. And I think giving something that kids can latch on to, and Hasbro will do it. They did it with Porgs. They did it. Every movie series that major series has come out, Hasbro is there. So Hasbro, of course, naturally wants to make some kind of marketing thing, right? So, that's my thoughts. What do you think of that? Like, if they follow Jace and Vraska, it seems kind of crazy, but just that short story, not many stories I read through Magic, whether it's the Apocalypse, the old books, I read Scourge, all of that, none of them moved me to the level that the Jace and Vraska story moved me. It's very well fleshed out, like just their love story and like their connection to each other. I think that is one of the best shorts that I've read from all of Magic.
Okay.
So I really like that, and it gives you something to like hone in on, right? Because it's like, oh, the question is, which Planeswalker do you follow? I think you either naturally think Jace or Chandra, right? These are kind of like the first ones that come to mind. But imagine how badass that would be to see a Mind Mage and like this Gorgon like pirate lady, but isn't fully pirate, right?
Yeah. The pirate Vraska is funny. that was a phase. And Pirate Jace,
Yeah, hell, Pirate Jace as well. But like, maybe don't do pirate, but just have them like with their normal designs and have them follow each other, right? The first like half of the movie can be them meeting in settling their differences, right? And then like how they're from different planes, and then how they have to go on an adventure to do something, right?
And then that was Ixalan, right?
That one was Ixalan, but I really like the
But seriously, if it has dinosaurs, I'm much more in. So let's go.
What about instead of dinosaurs, sci-fi creatures? Like
dinosaurs, dude. You're talking to the guy whose life was changed by Jurassic Park.
You know what's funny? That's I saw the new trailer and I was like, oh, this looks good. But Jurassic Park was never one of those franchises that hit home for me.
See, I was there when it was new, man. You had to see it in theaters. You had never seen CGI like this ever. You had never thought you'd see dinosaurs on screen that looked real. It set a new bar, and for that generation, I don't think we got back to it for a long time. It still looks good. It holds up, the original.
Oh yeah,
it blew our minds.
I love the first movie, but I don't think anything else after is hit. I
don't need it to. I had Jurassic Park. It's the only movie I saw like 3 times in theaters, saving up money every week, like mowing lawns to be able to afford to do it again. I was like, it was amazing. It was amazing. But yeah, as far as that story, as far as Vraska Jace, you know what? Show me. Because my favorite thing is the thing I didn't know I wanted that I get and then I like it. So if they do it right, I'll give it a chance. I mean, God knows it's a Magic the Gathering movie, dude. Do you think can we get invited to the premiere?
No, probably not. Who are you?
How do I get more known in the Magic space?
I will say that I think that it would be. A lot of people need to remember that what I'm saying right now might sound crazy, but at the end of the day, it's the main goal that we as Magic just players in a Magic community should strive for, is that this succeeds. A lot of people in the current year like to, I hope this movie bombs, yada, yada, yada. I want this to succeed more than anything else, just because I want more of it. I want a way that other people and younger generations can also enjoy Magic, like and be a part of it. Mm-hmm. It may not be the same Magic that like we grew up with, but the idea that Magic will live on in a way, like Magic's just been a major love of mine, right? So it's always been that way. So to see more people to latch onto it in the same ways like I latched onto Pokemon, or seeing the movie and having those experiences with Pokemon's like shows and movies, I want that for the next generation, right? I think that'd be kind of badass.
100%.
And if this fails, dude, look how long it took to get this even to where we are now. It's on its like 5th time on life support, and maybe now it actually happens. But like, if this fails, it will. The next time this even gets brought back up will be in like 24, like 24,000s.
Yeah. It's true. If it comes out in like 2028, 3 years from now, and if it's going into like production now, that's a real possibility. Then it will have taken 20 years. 20 years.
This is 20 years in the making. So,
hey, it's Magic, baby. Anything could happen. Yeah. And I agree. Let's run it to the moon. It would be nice to like go to Thanksgiving and tell people what I do for a living, tell the family, and have someone be like, "Oh, like a movie," and I'll be like, "Yeah,
yeah, like the movie,
Well, thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for talking all things Aetherdrift and Magic the Gathering movie, dude. I'll see you on the non-existent, maybe someday red carpet.
Yeah, sure. Let's just see if it gets made.